What's up, everybody? How you doing tonight? Give everybody a chance to get in.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten the notification yet.
What's going on, everybody? David Friedenberg, E-Trix, what's up, Eric? Jason Wickeser, Don Terry, Rick Menzel, what's going on, everybody? I came across something cool this evening. I want to show you guys, and actually, I want to go through it. It was pretty cool. George Parson, Gary Walters, John Burroughs, Rumble Seat. How you guys doing? How many people out there got theirs? Jim and Carrie Carker. How many people got their copy already? I bought this at Barnes & Noble the other day. I've only skimmed through it once briefly, and I just sat down after dinner to read through it. Then I decided we were going to do the live, and so if you guys are just tuning in, going through the In Fisherman 2023 Walleye Guide. I just bought it the other day. I have a subscription in Fisherman, and my guess is I'll probably end up getting the second one of these, but I saw it and I didn't want to wait, quite honestly. My favorite magazine every month, every guide that comes out, I've been getting it for years. So anyways, I'm sitting on the couch just now after dinner. I was going to read for a few minutes, and I see this article, and this is entitled "The World of Walleyes" by Dr. Hal Schramm. Now, Dr. Schramm has been an in Fisherman scientific contributor forever, and is widely respected, and Gord Pizer and all of those different biologist type guys who are also fishermen. But so I'm reading through this, and all of a sudden I'm that far down in the first paragraph right here, and I noticed that it says a night of lake, and it catches my eye, and I'm like, what? And so this is an article in the newest edition of Walleye Insider in the science department about walleyes and the abundance of forage and how that correlates to catch rates amongst anglers in that body of water. And if you guys want, I'll take a minute and we could read our way through it and discuss it. I thought that would be kind of cool. Everybody, you guys want to do that, or you want me to read through it's an article. It's called Facts and Fables, Fish Biology and Walleye World Wisdom. And all right, well, here we go. I got a bunch of hits. So the title of this article is "With All That Forage, No Wonder We Can't Catch Them. Does an abundance of forage make walleyes harder to catch? Well, maybe. It's commonly assumed by both anglers and biologists that angler catch rate is positively related to sport fish abundance, more fish, greater catch rates. Using estimates of walleye population size and angler catch rate measured for 6 years during the time span of 1957 to 2003 in Oneida Lake, New York. One of the, I beg to differ with in fisherman right here, because it says one of the premier walleye lakes in the northeastern United States. I would venture to say we are the premier walleye lake in the Northeast. That is not a Great Lake. So I think we're going to have to get a retraction from Mr. Infisherman, but I digress because we are the premier walleye fishery in the Northeast. It's not a Great Lake. I don't even think that's close. Anybody think of one that might be close? I can't. And you might be able to name a few with bigger fish, but I don't think you're going to name anything with more fish or more widespread. The beauty of Oneida Lake, and I'm going to get off again a little bit. The beauty of Oneida Lake is you can do anything you want in any of that. You could fish for walleyes however you want in whatever condition or structure or setting you want to do. And I don't care what kind of approach you want to take. You could do anything anywhere you could do anything somewhere on Oneida Lake. It's so diverse and there's so many different features out there. So we're changing that to we are the premier walleye lake in the Northeast. Cornell University fishery researchers tested the relationship between walleye abundance and angler catch rate. The walleye population. I sound like Elmo Fudd. The walleye population size fluctuated fourfold in the 50,000 acre lake, while angler catch rate varied tenfold. Statistical analysis demonstrated that angler catch rate was not related to walleye abundance. Digging deeper, the Cornell team found a strong negative relationship between angler catch rate and walleye growth rate. Geez, that's twice. Growth rate. Faster growth, lower catch rate. Now, doesn't that seem interesting? So there's two things there. Statistical analysis demonstrated that angler catch rate was not related to walleye abundance. So the big thing in our lake is that they always say that we have 1 million adult walleyes in Oneida Lake. And the catch rate, so I don't know what the catch rate is. Does it say here? It doesn't. I don't know what the catch rate is. But let's say it's a with 1 million walleyes, let's say the catch rate is a 3 on a scale of 5. They're saying that it could go up or down the population size, and that catch rate wasn't going to change. That I think is interesting. That angler catch rate was not related to walleye abundance. So they're saying that it's not, our good fishing is not necessarily because there's so many in the lake. They go on to say, why would growth rate be related to catch rate? And as soon as they said that, that's a baiting question, and they're giving you the answer. Brian Hammond's already said it, lots of food. So growth rate and catch rate are related because the faster those walleyes are growing, the more they're eating. The more they're eating, the less we're catching. Now, is that because it's a satiated group of biters? Probably. Is it because the years that the forage is so thick in this lake that everyone says, oh, it's hard to compete, or during a mayfly hatch or something like that? So the faster those fish are growing, which means the more natural food sources they have, and they're getting a full-blown diet. And so they're growing really fast, but you're not catching them because they have all the natural swimming buffet they could ever want. So it says growth rate is a function of food available to each fish. High growth rate occurs when food is abundant. Young yellow perch and white perch are the primary walleye forage in Oneida. In some years, emerald shiners, gizzard shad supplement the forage supply. And now you can add gobies to that. To what percentage, we don't know yet. Everything we've heard from Jake from Cornell has been that they're a very small player. Yet we seem to find more and more people catching more and more of them, bycatches as you're fishing bottom on this lake. So be interesting to see, and it'd be interesting to see if we start seeing big ones like you do in Lake Ontario or the St. Lawrence River, where they can be 6 to 8 inches long. So we added that to the forage list, and they say yellow perch, white perch, emerald shiners, gizzard shad, and now we're saying goby. So there's 5 right there. That's not counting young of the year walleye, which they will predate themselves, and young of the year. Let's say it could be any other game species in that lake, depending on the quantity. Forage fish biomass in Oneida Lake is known to vary 20-fold among years. The short version, well-fed walleyes are hard to catch, and catch rate is low when forage is abundant. And really, when you read that, you go, yeah, no kidding. Duh. I mean, and in this instance, I guess science is just putting that's a true statement, stamp on this. Well-fed, hard to catch. Now, this is also interesting. The one forage is abundant. Might this explain why a lake with a hot walleye bite in one year can seem like the Dead Sea the next? Certainly this relationship needs to be evaluated for other walleye fisheries. But if this is the case, the message for anglers is simple. When the bite just isn't happening in an otherwise good walleye lake, find other waters to fish that year. Come back next year to catch those big old well-fed walleyes. All right, well, that's where they ended the Oneida specific part of this article that they must have got information on, and then turned it into a general article for wherever you may live. Now, for those of us here in Central New York, we don't have another walleye lake to then just go to. And forage doesn't get equally spread throughout Oneida Lake in its 20 plus miles and its 55,000 square acres. So, so if these guys in fishermen certainly stems from Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes in Minnesota and Wisconsin both, and now some of those farther western states, the Dakotas, even out to Idaho, have these newly created reservoirs that have incredible perch and walleye fisheries in them. But those guys out there, land of 10,000 lakes, you could have 20 good lakes within a however many mile radius, like all close together, because there's a lot of water out there. We live in Central New York and we have a lot of water, and you have the Finger Lakes, you have the Adirondack Lakes, you have the St. Lawrence River, you have Lake Erie, a little bit of in New York waters, and the southern shore and eastern shore of Lake Ontario. You have Chautauqua, which I've never been on. I will be this year. But Chautauqua is the only other real walleye lake that I've ever heard mention of in New York. And I know there are other bodies of water within the state that have some walleye in it. But this is our walleye lake. So if we get out of whack here, we can't all just go, wow, let's just go fish this lake now. Those guys in Minnesota can. From smaller lakes to giant mammoth, Rainy Lake, Leech Lake, some of those giant walleye factories up there. But I thought that was super interesting, and not for nothing, it's fun and cool to hear about your hometown thing in a national publication, and especially one as prestigious as In Fisherman. So I thought that article was pretty interesting, and again, it makes you think. It makes you think. Well, that seems like a no-brainer. If there's a lot of fish, I mean, if the buffet's open 24/7, and you're trying to sell, fake slices of pizza on the corner, I don't know how many people are going to come buy your fake pizza, no matter how you trick them with it. And, it's funny on the night of, and these are some of these questions we're going to ask, because I told you guys that the DEC Public Relations Division approved me to go when we tagged the walleyes for Walleye Fest. They approved me to go and film and publish on YouTube the tour of the Constantia Walleye Hatchery. And I'm also looking to get in touch with the people up at the Altmar Hatchery, because they're getting ready to, within the next couple of weeks, start stripping steelhead. And I thought that would be a cool video that everybody would like. I don't know if everybody's been to the hatchery in Altmar, but it's amazing. And from what I hear, it's just filthy with steelhead right at the moment. So those big fish are so impressive, period. But when you get that many of them up in the fish ladder up there, and now the 3-year renovation remodeling project up there is done too. So I really am hoping that I get approval for that as well. I'm sure I wouldn't. I don't see why I wouldn't, but let's go through and see who's here. But it's like I say, it's just neat when a slice of home is in your national thing that you read. That's the authority on walleyes in print. And our lake has talked about it in there. That's cool to me. I love that stuff. And when I hear from people that even watch the channel from far away, they're like, well, you're talking about walleye fishing. We have walleyes all over out here. Just like when I watch Tom Boley, I don't do everything he does, but it all should translate. A walleye's a walleye, in my opinion. You can overcomplicate things, I guess, if you want, and there are differences, but still in all, I mean, you get a good Oneida Lake fisherman around walleyes in other places, and why wouldn't they catch them? If they're good on Oneida with walleyes, then they're going to be good other places with walleyes, right? I mean, I used to always think the opposite of that, quite honestly. I used to always watch all these shows, and of course, in those days it was different, because when I was a kid, long before cable, but even in the early cable days, there was only a couple channels that would have ever shown something like that on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and it was usually early morning programming. And whatever fishing it was, before the in-fisherman people really started, or any of the dedicated networks, it was mostly bass fishing. And bass fishing then meant largemouth fishing, still as it does now. But like, I grew up here, and my grandpa had a place in the St. Lawrence River, so I grew up chasing smallmouth on the St. Lawrence. But none of those shows ever talked about smallmouth bass. And so all those things that they would tell you about, oh, do this to catch this, I never tried any of that stuff, because I was like, well, I don't have stuff like that where I'm from, and there was it wasn't until I watched Bill Safe the first time, rod and reel, when I was like 12, 13 years old, because my grandpa and my great uncle used to watch it. And Bill Safe did stuff on Lake Ontario. That was really one of the starting points of getting into the guiding business, or even starting to learn how to do that kind of fishing. Started with Bill Safe showing, but those kind of techniques translate, from one body of water to another. There's no reason as a good fisherman to think, now you may not know a new body of water in and out and where the fish may be, but again, you find them or you put yourself around them. There's no reason to think that you shouldn't catch them, Let's go back and see who's here tonight. A lot of people here tonight. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Let's see. I went all the way through. Dave Muldoon, Eric Wisniewski. How much snow did you get? Oh, I don't know. 6 inches maybe ish. It was miserable all day. I kept looking outside. I'm like, I don't want to go out there, and I didn't. Driveway hasn't been shoveled. Sidewalk hasn't been shoveled, and it's supposed to melt in the next couple of days. So I think it'll be all right. Yeah, Eric, I got about the same you did. Louis LaPlante, how you doing, buddy? Oh, Bill Morey, Gail Arnold, Dave Muldoon. Did you try floating sacks or beads last couple times out? We plug fished both days. Thursday on the Salmon River and yesterday in Oswego. It was all pulling plugs. So they should be eating plastic or pretty quick. Don Terry, interesting. JT Outdoor Products. Great information, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Brian Hammond says, hi, Matt and Courtney. What's up, Hammer? Ed Roser, hello, everyone on this snowy, windy day. I know, I'm telling you. St. Patty's Day is come and gone, and it's still winter. And I looked outside this morning, and it was beautiful. And I'm like, where were you 2 months ago? I was all psyched for ice fishing season, and I know I could have probably kept going. And I know I've got, Eric and Don have both been out there all through the month of March. I stopped trusting it, so I stopped going. That's all. Personal decision. I really wanted to do more ice fishing, but I'll be honest with you, I've needed this 2 months to get Walleye Fest up and running. Because we've been working on this all day, every day, 7 days a week, trying to put everything together. And the ball is rolling now. We went over 300 tickets sold today. Then no, that's a little underwhelming, but it's not though. We're brand new, and people have to learn who we are and what we're doing and why. It still feels like butt-ass cold winter. So no one's thinking about fishing the Derby yet. No one's thinking about pulling their boat out yet. So I know April's going to be huge and going to be just a whirlwind. And we're going to have thousands of people sign up. But we have some cool prizes to give away next week. It's like I say, this is my birthday week. So this Saturday's drawing will be for one of the cutting boards that Bob Hutt made for us. It's a beautiful, beautiful, like cheese board size with a round Walleye Fest logo inside it. It is just gorgeous. And Mark Usick, the talented author and artist that I met down at the Turning Stone show, and he did that amazing cork hat for me with my Awakening Angler logo on it. He sent me the pictures, and he's mailing me out the one he did for Walleye Fest. It is one of a kind. It is amazing. It's got a walleye on one side. It's got our logo on the other side, and our beautiful lake outline. I'm thinking seriously about putting it in one of those glass presentation boxes and giving it away as a trophy. It's gorgeous. It's one of a kind, signed by the artist. It is really going to be a beautiful memento of Walleye Fest #1, Derby number 44. But so the only way you can get in these drawings is to buy your tickets. And I hope everybody watching has already bought their ticket. I'm sure you have. Jason Wicker says that 0.54 fish per hour in 2022. So that was the angler survey. So that's number of fish caught divided by total angler hours. So they're saying half a fish an hour. So you catch a fish every 2 hours. Listen, some days that's the truth, unfortunately. Other days it's not. Other days you can bail them. Just depends. Bill Morey says, it seems like there must be a lower population limit at which point angler catch rate will still drop. I'm sure, of course, there has to be. Um, but if they're saying the current estimate is 1 million adult walleyes, and that if it went above 1 million, um, how much before it started to change there again? At some point, it would have to go upwards, just like at some point, it would have to go down farther. Don Terry's agreeing with it. And then Bill Morey's saying about adding things to the gobies and the mayfly larva to getting bigger walleye. And adding it to their list of dietary things now. Troy A says, had to have been so awesome to grow up on a Night of Lake. Curious how it was back then. So Troy, you can go back and watch the couple of videos I did with Captain Tony Buffa this past summer. And Tony's a good friend of mine, and I've known him for 25 plus years. And he goes back a long time. He's in his 80s now. I mean, he's been fishing this lake a very, very long time, doing it professionally, I believe, since the 70s, he said. And he will tell you things like, listen, there's always been up and downs. It's not like this has been, it's always been great, and we take that for granted, but it's been well managed. We have an incredible hatchery on the shore. But how things happen and the different makeup, like now we have a lot of weed growth in this lake all the way out to, last year it was out to 15 and a half, almost 16 feet of water. That's deep for weeds to grow. That means that water is pretty clear and that light's penetrating down a long ways. And it has the bottom composition for it to grow. Like the St. Lawrence River has deeper light penetration, but it's mostly flat, bare rock on the bottom. And so that there's no soil on it to grow weeds in anyway. So you don't have that up there. In Lake Ontario, you don't have weeds because it's predominantly like an ocean, a sand bottom, and weeds don't grow in sand very much or very, far. But our lake has in some spots, exposed rock and sand, but most of it is a mucky silt bottom, which turns into organic material that then the weeds grow into if the sun, depending on how far down the sun goes. Last year, like I say, it was all of 16 feet. And so that changes how you've fished over the years as well. Because Tony will tell you the story of the old days, drifting with a piece of split shot, a foot and a half or 2 foot above like a number 1 or a number 2 gold hook with a night crawler threaded on it, and you casted it upwind and you let the boat drift, and that's how you caught them. Simple. Now, I'm sure that would still work now. I'm sure it would, but you can do it because we now know 10,000 other different ways of doing it. So don't get me wrong. It was amazing. My great-grandparents had a place in Lakeport. My earliest memories were down there. My grandparents, my grandfather had me out here fishing. There's pictures of me catching crappies in Billington's Bay when I was 3-4 years old. And it was also cool to have the lake right here. I grew up on the West End, and we'd go down to like 3 Mile and stuff like that. I mean, Oneida Lake's a part of Central New York. And my story is one of millions of people that live around this area from east to west, because it really spans in between Syracuse and Utica, or at least Rome. And Utica's not that much farther. In the East End has always been predominantly people from that end, the Utica, Rome, Oneida, Canastota area. And the West End is usually people out of Syracuse, but so it lays out nice. It's right on the thruway. It's easy to get to. It's right off 81. And so now that really makes it the gem of upstate New York, and certainly of the New York fishing scene. It's right in the middle. Right in the middle. Scott Duranda, good evening. John Burrows, They are easy to catch, just hard to net. Yeah, John, that's open for discussion, my friend. I'll be siding with Birdie on this one. Bill Morey, Henderson, Chameau, Black River Bay have all been pretty good to me when it comes to catching walleyes. Yes, all excellent walleye fisheries, but not day in and day out anything like Oneida. Now, granted, they are much bigger, much bigger because they are open water lake fish. But for numbers and day to day going walleye fishing, those don't hold a candle to Oneida. Mike Urema finally got over freezing at noon today, and the Saugers cooperated. So I'm glad it warmed up for you, temperature and fishing wise. I would assume, Mike, when does your tournament start? Thursday, Friday? Joe Smelkoff, hello. Mary Burke, hello. Carl Kapfer, hello. I just went too far. Boy, you got to be careful if you hit this thing one too many times. Tom Alexander. Don Terry, that just shows how the Cornell Research Station is looked at by others in the scientific community. The longevity and detailed information they've kept for a long time is invaluable. No question. I mean, the state DEC can't accept accolades for Oneida Lake and its success in the hatchery if you don't factor in the invaluable work that Cornell University and I'm sure now at this point other New York State universities, as well as the College of Environmental Science and Forestry at Syracuse University. So they all have a hand in it, but Cornell is a big hand, no question. The scientific fisheries biology research that they do for all of us about Oneida Lake and every place here in New York, but is really invaluable. I agree with you, Don Terry, completely. Tim Graver, what's up, Farmer Tim? Gail Arnold, did the fact we didn't have a hard freeze or ice most of the winter affect the science of it all? I'm sure it did to some extent, and I know Jake alluded to that. And one of the things that he had told me, and they said that we discussed at Ice Bowl, was the years where you don't have that ice pack, then the wind blows the open water, and it churns that water up from top to bottom and cools the whole thing down. One thing I found interesting this year when I was out so late in the season into January was my surface temperature was below freezing. And when I would put my Markham underwater camera down, it was reading almost 40 degrees at the bottom in 20 foot of water. So that would have been a 9-degree temperature swing from top to bottom. And from what they said, if the wind would have churned that up all winter long, it would have made the whole thing colder, and it would have pushed those fish either deeper or had a greater mortality of them not making it through or going into a really catatonic state, almost like a hibernation, because the water would be so cold. And I didn't realize that it stratified and was that much warmer in the depths than it was freezing on the surface. I thought that was fascinating too. So that's an excellent question. John Karnowski, good evening. Lawrence Melnick. Hi, Matt. Love the show. I got my wife watching. I'm sure she's on the edge of her seat. Those cutting boards are gorgeous. Bob does beautiful work. Yes, Mary. He sent me pictures yesterday. They sure were. Rob H. Hello, everyone. Tammy Hoover's on tonight. Tammy's husband, Mike, won the prize. Mike got a hold of me. He won the second week's prize giveaway last night, and he got a hold of me today, so I'll be sending out his goodie bag this week. Roger Zoller, got my ticket the other day and booked a room, trying to talk a buddy into coming up with me. Yeah, tell him, well, put it to him this way, Roger. You got to make a compelling argument. You go, say to him, listen, if I told you we could go do something really fun, go fishing for a couple days, have a great party at least one night. I mean, probably two if you come up on Thursday or Friday. Tons of great food, music, a lot of great stuff to see. And again, by the way, a great fishing derby. And you say to your buddy, so if I told you we could go do all of that really fun stuff, like, do you like to do fun stuff? And ask them that question. They go, yeah, I like to do fun stuff. Well, if I told you we could go do all this fun stuff, what would you say? And then they're locked in. You see you've circled them with common sense, and they can't get out of it now because it would be illogical to go back. So you'd be like, if you like fun things and you like to fish, then how could you not like Walleye Fest? And then they'll be stumped. They'll be like, okay, well, I must go then. I logically can't argue it. So you win. I'm going to go and have fun. And there you go. That's how you do it, Roger. See, I just solved that problem for you. Forgotten domain. My father once told me about the time he was fishing under the bridge on the pier in Sylvan Beach. He saw someone had a 31-inch walleye in their cooler. My father guessed it had to be about 10 pounds. Forgotten domain, that would be a giant. And from the sounds of it, between the Lions Club people that I've talked to and the hatchery people, supposedly there has never been a 30-incher taken out of this lake and officially seen or documented or anything like that. And the one guy said he'd been at the hatchery for like, I don't know, a lot of years. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that at all. And I firmly believe that there are fish of that size in this lake. And I don't know why any of you have not already caught them. You're obviously slacking and need to be sternly talked to. So get out there and let's get some big ones this year. Can you imagine the first year of Walleye Fest, somebody winning the Derby with a 30-inch fish? Like, that would make national news. That would make, we would figure out a way to get that on the top 10, ESPN top 10 plays of the day, because that would be news. Look at how fast the guys that cheated made the news all around the world. Everybody all of a sudden cared about fishermen because we were a bunch of cheaters. No, those two guys were cheaters. 99.9% of all of us are not cheaters. Jeff Brown, how you doing, buddy? Mike Urema says Tuesday and Wednesday are the tournament days. Oh, interesting. Middle of the week. Kick butt, Mike, says Rumble Seat. Jim Carker says good luck. Yes, good luck. Absolutely. Mike will keep me posted. I'll let you guys know what's going on. Brian Hammond says Jake also said the walleyes eat eel fly larvae during winter. I didn't know that. I didn't know that either, Brian. I didn't know that those eel flies were hatching that size. Kevin Stone, what's going on, Chief? Good evening, Matt. Good conversation tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Paul Messina. I'm going to go fishing with Paul Messina tomorrow morning somewhere still undisclosed. But we're going to be on a boat fishing tomorrow. Stay tuned. Lawrence Melnick, buy your buddy his ticket, then no reason not to show up. Yeah, that's true. It's $25. And if you win one of the prize giveaways, we give away more than $25 every week. Way more. So you're going to be fishing for free right there. Better check the walleye for weights. Now, remember, this is just like the Lions Club Derby. This is a length derby. Okay, the first place is decided by length, and then weight is used only as a tie-break measure. Rumble Seat says, when I win this Walleye Fest with a 30 1/8 inch Waldon, will Courtney hand me the trophy and kiss me on the cheek?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, she said without a doubt. So I didn't even have to convince her. So yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'll be standing on the other side smiling for the camera because we're going to be in every fishing paper around if you catch a 30 1/8 inch walleye. Forgotten Domain said that the giant walleye his dad saw happened in 06-07. My dad tried to get him to throw it back, but the man told him that his wife was cooking it. Yeah. Listen, once you catch it, Once a person catches it, it's up to them. It's their decision. I'm not about to shame somebody into. They could want to mount it. I've had a lot of big fish go home with people in my years guiding, and if they have their license and they've legally caught it, and it's a legal fish, they can do whatever they want with it. That's their business. Eric Wisniewski, not going to happen. No, what's not going to happen? We haven't caught one yet because we all suck at fishing. Todd Terry, I know. Someone wake up Rumble Seat. No, listen, no, don't anybody wake him up. I love that kind of enthusiasm and positivity. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Dave Muldoon. Either the 30-inch walleye aren't there, they don't hit lures, or we suck at fishing. That was classic. Etrick says they don't eat worms on spinners either. Oh, funny. Funny. So, yeah, I'm fishing tomorrow. We're over 300 tickets sold. We have a ton of great sponsors trying to come on board. Keep spreading the word out there. If you know a business that would like to get in front of tens of thousands, maybe not tens of thousands, thousands of eager consumers, have them get a hold of me on the walleyefest.com website or by email, DM, whatever. It's awesome, guys. We've created something and we're keeping it going, and it's going to be incredible. Yeah, Eric, I thought I was going to be working tomorrow too. I'm waiting on a deposit check to start this next big job I got going. But again, I've needed every day of this time I've had here recently to get Walleye Fest up and off the ground, because without that, it wouldn't have happened. So, all right, everybody, have a great Sunday evening. Get ready for an awesome week. Prepare for a good week, plan for a good week, assume you're going to have a good week. And Chief Stone says, Matt, when are you planning for local media coverage on the Derby? I'm hoping to get I've been waiting on my partners too, but I'm hoping to get our Spectrum TV commercials filmed this week. I spoke with the president of the OLA today, and we are going to take out some advertising in their spring newsletter. I met Steve from the local show on 570. This gentleman right here, I met him Saturday afternoon at the Home and Garden show Courtney and I went to, and we got talking. I gave him my information for Walleye Fest, and we're going to be on his show in April. So we're getting there. We're a long way to go, but we're getting there. All right. I think we're good. Have a great evening, everybody. Love you guys and girls. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of everything on the comments. Thanks for being a part of the community and liking what we're doing for all the right reasons. Positive out, positive in. Promise. Keep your tip up. Thank you.